Have you ever thought you knew someone only to have your entire world turned upside down in a single moment? That's exactly what happened to Mark. He and Sarah were the picture-perfect couple. High school sweethearts, married for 10 years, with two beautiful kids. From the outside, their life was a dream. Mark worked hard as an architect, providing for his family, while Sarah was the stay-at-home mom who seemed to do it all with a smile. She was the PTA president, the neighborhood's best baker, and Mark's biggest supporter. He thought he was the luckiest man alive. He'd come home every day to a spotless house, a delicious meal, and the warm embrace of the woman he loved more than anything. Sarah was his rock, his confidant, his everything. Or so he believed. The truth, however, was a venomous snake hiding in the beautiful garden of their life, waiting for the right moment to strike. And that moment came with a single, unexpected phone call that would shatter Mark's perfect illusion forever. It started subtly. Little things that, on their own, meant nothing. Sarah started spending more time on her phone, laughing at texts she'd quickly hide if Mark walked into the room. She'd say it was just her friends from the book club. Then there were the girls' nights out that became more frequent. She'd come home late, smelling faintly of a cologne that wasn't Mark's, her eyes sparkling with an excitement he hadn't seen in years. When he'd ask about her night, she'd give vague answers. "Oh, just chit-chat and wine." Mark, trusting his wife completely, brushed it off. He told himself he was being paranoid. Why would Sarah, his Sarah, ever betray him? He even felt guilty for doubting her. He decided to trust her, to believe in the life they had built together. After all, they had history, a family, a bond he thought was unbreakable. He loved her, and love, he believed, meant trust. This blind trust would soon become his biggest regret. The late nights continued, and a new excuse was added to the mix: a new yoga class. "It's for my mental health, honey," she'd say, patting his cheek. "Keeps me balanced." Mark wanted to support her, so he didn't question it. He'd handle the kids' bedtime routines, read them stories, and tuck them in, all while his wife was supposedly finding her inner peace. A small nagging feeling started to grow in his gut, but he pushed it down. He didn't want to be that husband, the suspicious, controlling one. He reminded himself of all the years they had been happy, the vows they had made. But the distance between them was growing, an invisible wall being built brick by brick. Their conversations became superficial, their intimacy forced. The easy laughter that once filled their home was replaced by a tense silence. Mark felt like he was living with a stranger, a beautifully smiling stranger who was keeping a massive secret. The day it all fell apart was a Tuesday. It was an ordinary day, just like any other. Mark was at a construction site overseeing a new project. His phone rang, and he saw it was an unknown number. He usually ignored those, but something compelled him to answer. "Hello?" he said, the sound of machinery buzzing in the background. A man's voice, hesitant and nervous, replied, "Is this Mark, Sarah's husband?" Mark's heart skipped a beat. "Yes, who is this?" The man on the other end took a deep breath. "My name is David," he said, "and I think you and I need to talk. My wife, she's been acting strange lately. I found some messages on her phone with your wife, Sarah." Mark felt the blood drain from his face. He walked away from the noise, his hand trembling. "What are you talking about?" he asked, though a sickening feeling told him he already knew. David continued, his voice cracking with a pain that Mark was beginning to feel himself. "My wife is named Jessica," he said. "She told me she joined a new yoga class a few months ago. She's been going out late, always on her phone. I found texts between her and Sarah. They weren't talking about yoga, Mark. They were talking about meeting up at hotels. They were talking about you and me, laughing about how clueless we were." Every word was a punch to the gut. Yoga class, the late nights, the secret smiles. It all clicked into place, forming a hideous picture of betrayal. Mark leaned against a wall, struggling to breathe. It wasn't another man. It was another woman. Sarah wasn't just cheating. She was living a complete double life. The perfect wife, the perfect mother. It was all an act, a meticulously crafted lie. David sent Mark the screenshots. There they were, in black and white. Messages filled with secret plans and inside jokes. Photos of Sarah and a woman Mark had never seen, laughing together, looking far more intimate than just friends. There was even a hotel receipt David had found. The dates matched Sarah's yoga nights. The pain was indescribable. It was a physical ache in his chest, a roaring in his ears. The woman he had shared his life with, the mother of his children, was a complete stranger. He had been living in a fantasy, and the architect of that fantasy had just been exposed. He looked at the photos of Sarah on his phone. Their wedding, the birth of their kids, family vacations. Every happy memory was now tainted, poisoned by the truth. He felt like a fool, a blind, trusting fool. Mark drove home in a daze. The world outside his car window seemed blurry, unreal. When he walked through the front door, Sarah was in the kitchen, humming as she prepared dinner. The very image of domestic bliss. "Hi, honey. How was your day?" she asked with that perfect, dazzling smile. The smile that he now knew was a mask. He couldn't speak. He just stood there staring at her, the phone heavy in his hand. She noticed his expression, and her smile faltered. "Mark, is everything okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." He finally found his voice, a low, broken whisper. "Who is Jessica?" Sarah's face went white. The color drained from her cheeks and the plate she was holding slipped from her fingers, shattering on the floor, much like the life they had built together. The silence that followed was deafening, filled with all the unspoken lies. The confrontation was ugly. At first, she tried to deny it, to twist the story. "Jessica is just a friend. You're being crazy." But when Mark showed her the screenshots, her facade crumbled. The tears came, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of frustration at being caught. She admitted everything. The affair had been going on for 6 months. The yoga class was their cover. She claimed she was unhappy, that she felt trapped, that she needed something for herself. Her excuses felt like salt in Mark's wounds. She hadn't been trapped. She had been the one setting the trap, and he had walked right into it. He had given her everything, his love, his loyalty, and she had repaid him with the ultimate betrayal. He realized the woman he married was gone, or perhaps she had never really existed at all. In the end, Mark knew what he had to do. He couldn't stay. He couldn't look at her every day and not see the lies. He couldn't raise his children in a house built on such a rotten foundation. The divorce was painful, especially for the kids, but Mark knew it was necessary for his own sanity and to set an honest example for them. He learned a harsh lesson about trust and the hidden depths people can have. The perfect picture had been a lie, but in its destruction, Mark found a new, more honest path forward. It was a difficult journey, but it was his. He was no longer living in a beautiful illusion. He was living in the real world, scarred but stronger, and ready to build a new life, this time on a foundation of truth. This story is a powerful reminder that things aren't always as they seem, and sometimes the deepest betrayals come from those we trust the most. Thank you so much for listening. If you've ever been through something similar or just found this story compelling, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more true-to-life stories. We'll see you in the next video.